Welcome back, everybody, to the Abyss.
It's dark and cold down here. Not really, it's like 100 fucking degrees.
Yeah, I don't like the summers at all, man.
Drinking a Grand Teton Brewing Tres Picos Mexican Lager.
We've been doing Mexican beers lately. Went to the store and saw this, and it's like, I could use a Grand Teton.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
I like it. So I watched a new horror film last night.
Oh, okay, what was it?
Not a fan of it. It's on
Evil
Netflix.
Dead.
No,
Yeah,
fuck you, dude. It was on Netflix. It's called Run Rabbit Run. Like the reviews were like, oh, it's really good and everything. It was unique. It was different. Didn't hook me though. Like I started to doze off, and it takes a lot for me to doze off while watching a movie.
You fell asleep during the movie?
I think for a maximum of 5 minutes.
I imagine your wife just terrified right next to you, and you're just snoring away.
Well, yeah, no. It was maybe 5 minutes because I laid down and it was comfortable. I'm like, hey, it's comfortable. The movie's not grabbing me. And then the credits started rolling because I watched the end and I looked up. I was like, yeah, it wasn't for me. I didn't like it. She's like, what? I thought it was really good. I'm like, nah, it wasn't for me.
Hey, sometimes you see a horror movie and you can't believe that someone thought it was good when it was just trash.
Oh, here we go again.
Like The Evil Dead. But anyways, I watched a scary movie, which was actually fantastic. And I watched the new Insidious, The Red Door.
I'm jealous you watched it before me.
I came in with low expectations because I remember I think I watched like a sequel to one of them and I didn't really like it. I don't know why, but this was, I think they have the same producer of the original one. It was fantastic. Like literally, I couldn't believe how much I liked the film. Christine looked at me in the end. She's like, "Did you hate it?" And I'm like, "No, it was fantastic." Like the thing that I realized why I liked it though is because like you can tell like there's like a theme to it. Like there's something I don't know how to quite describe it. I guess like
spoiling it.
It didn't focus on just jump scares, but it was a lot about like your innate fears like claustrophobia and other things that really irk you. And it really it put you in a state of tension in which that you were always uncomfortable throughout the film because you didn't know what was going to happen. That feeling. Like it's not like that stupid jumps. It's not like that stupid jump scare thing where, because like I feel like that's like sugar, right?
Yeah.
Like if you make a horror film full of jump scares, it's like literally just sugar and milk. Yeah, it's okay, but this thing was like a masterpiece. It was fantastic. It had nuance. It had like hidden flavors to it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. 5 out of 5 for me.
That's probably the most glowing review you've ever given a film.
It's the best horror movie I've watched since like
Nope.
It's one of the best shows that I've seen since Sinister.
Sinister's my favorite.
It's been like 10 years since I watched something that I've liked that much.
Damn.
So. Yeah,
but I think it's funny that you were giving me shit because you said my video library is probably all over the place, but your wife is looking at you going, "Did you hate it?" Because that tells me you hate everything.
Yeah, it's because if you don't demand more excellence as a consumer, you're going to get what you deserve.
Okay, fair enough. But you have liked 5 out of the last 5,000 horror movies. So if they go off of you, they're just never going to make a horror film again.
No, man, I bet I could make the best. I could make the best playlist online, and people would love it. They would love it.
I'm sure we could. But yeah, Run Rabbit Run. It was okay. I'm not going to shit all over it. It didn't grab me. But today we're doing.
Sorry, go ahead.
You like me shitting all over Run Rabbit Run?
Yeah.
But we're doing a viewer submission based off of the Queen Mary from Modelo Time, who's our newest paid subscriber.
Not Modelo Love. Not Modelo Time.
But yeah, I appreciate it. He gave us a really great list of suggestions that we can keep going for a while. So, and this is a call out to everyone who listens. You can always send us any suggestions. entertheabysspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it. So let's talk about the Queen Mary. Are you ready?
I am. Is this like the Queen Mary person? Is this like a haunted bus?
It's the haunted ship. Everyone knows the Queen Mary, right?
Yes.
There is no doubt that the Queen Mary is haunted. There are resident spirits, including Jackie, the little girl who haunts the first-class pool, John Petter, who was crushed by a watertight door, Senior Second Officer William Eric Stark, who accidentally drank dry cleaning fluid instead of gin. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. Too soon. And the cook, who was baked alive by his own kitchen staff during World War II, but arguably the most notorious location of the ship for paranormal activity is Stateroom B340, Bees and Boy 340. Its paranormal occurrences stem from a horrid event, or so it is said. Apparently back in the 60s, during one of the final transatlantic cruises before the ship was docked in Long Beach, a man went crazy and brutally murdered 2 women. His crimes were discovered and he was locked in his third-class stateroom, either B222, B224, or B226. The door was locked and a guard was posted outside. A little while later, he started pounding on the door saying someone was in there with him, trying to kill him. The guard ignored him, thinking it was a ruse to escape. After a while, the passenger quieted down and the guard figured he went to sleep. The next day, when the ship arrived in New York, the crew summoned NYPD detectives, and they went to apprehend the murderer. When they opened the door to the stateroom, they found the man had been ripped apart, and his entrails and limbs spread all over the room. There is no way he could have done this himself.
God damn.
So, is that story true? I have my doubts, but, apparently they said it was when they first kind of retrofitted the ship to a hotel in Long Beach.
It's a good ghost story, right?
Yeah.
Is it true?
Would you want to stay in that room? Because they charge like $400 a night.
I'd stay a week there.
Stay a week.
I would live there.
You make a fake reenactment to fuck with people.
Would you investigate the Queen Mary?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah.
Should bring the Ouija board on.
Oh, no, the room comes with a Ouija board, I think, actually.
Holy
I saw some
shit.
pictures where, like, you have a little thing that opens up and there's a Ouija. I could be wrong. I was researching this at, like, 3 in the morning, and that's what I saw,
Nice. Speaking of Ouija board, so my wife and I, it's our 10-year wedding anniversary in September.
Nice.
We did our pictures earlier this year, actually this last month, and we went to a haunted mansion in downtown Salt Lake City, McCune Manor. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Nope.
It's really pretty, but we brought a Ouija board to take pictures with and everything, but we brought the spirit box.
Yeah,
we went
did it
upstairs. Dude, we got so much activity. Like a lot. I wish we were recording it because we would have used it, but
Better than my house.
it was pretty active. And they were responding to our questions because we're like, at one point in time, we were like, hey, feel free to jump in any of the pictures, haha, and you hear a voice go, okay. And it's like, holy shit.
Yes.
So we were like, we're hoping to comb through our pictures when we get them back to see if
Mike
there's any
and the
ghosts.
boys are jumping in your pics.
But supposedly they do rent it out like at night, so we could go at night
I'd be
and
down,
do some
dude.
spirit box
Let's do it.
stuff. So, paid subscribers will help us get to that point with our video stuff.
Close
So.
to cameras, man. We're close.
But anyway, so sorry to derail it, but that just reminded me.
So that's probably one of the more scarier stories. We're going to be going into the ship itself and its origins. However, I'm going to transition over to you, Britton. Let's hear some
Nice.
stories about some creepy ships.
So, yeah, finding filler stuff to go with the Queen Mary was hard. So I found a Reddit thread just talking about some of the craziest, quote-unquote, oh shit moments from cruise ships.
Oh, from seamen.
Yeah, from seamen.
some
Oh shit seamen moments.
Moments from seamen. I got it. Okay.
There's lots of those. We have lots of oh shit moments from that. Okay, so this one comes from Danny C. One time I was on a cruise, and a few cabins down, a man and woman who were cheating on their wife and husband, respectively, got super drunk and fell over the edge of their balcony from really high up. It was at night, too. The whole cruise ship stopped once it was reported, and it took an entire day to search for them. Apparently the man had his jeans or something because he had inflated them somehow, and they were floating, holding them. They reported that they were stung by multiple jellyfish and were super cold the entire time. That must have been the scariest, most terrible 18 hours of their lives.
Well, they taught you how to do that in Boy Scouts, right? Where you tie
Inflate
the,
your
the
pants.
legs.
I was not a Boy Scout, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I think I told you this story. I went on one Boy Scout camp with my friend, just thinking it was a fun campground. And that was when the kid shit and put it on the other kid's pillow. I told you that, right?
That's some weird...
It was not,
that's
yeah.
never happened.
Yeah, it was bad. He literally went and took a poop, dug it up, and put it on some kid's pillow in his tent. Yeah, this kid was... Something's not right, man. He's probably a serial killer now.
He's about
now
four
that I think
sides,
about it.
4 sides away from being a square.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, that happened. And this is from Schrute Farms Incorporated. Ship just arrived in Whittier, Alaska, the port for Anchorage, and an elderly passenger dropped dead while walking down the gangway. A conflict ensues between the port security and the ship's medical team. The port security didn't want the ship's medical team to get involved because it technically happened off the ship, and the local authorities had jurisdiction. There really was no saving the guy, but the ship's medical team at least wanted to try. But the local authorities wouldn't even allow the chief medical officer to start CPR. The coroner had a roughly 6-hour ETA, so the port authorities bagged up the body and stuffed it in an X-ray machine storage container in port, guarded by local police, until the local coroner could arrive to take the body to Anchorage. The wife of the deceased continued on to finish the vacation for the 7-day rail trip to Denali. It was a 14-day gimmick, 7 days at sea, 7-day scenic rail trip. She's like, fuck no, I'm not going to stop just because my husband croaked.
You got to get your money's worth, right? You know? He's still going to be dead.
She probably has more now because of life insurance. She's like, hell, I'm going to extend my trip for another year.
Doing a full year on a cruise ship.
My understanding was the cruise line comped her entire vacation. Well, there you go. That's why you finished it. Arranged for the remains to be returned home at no cost to her, and provided a personal escort and assistant for the remainder of her vacation.
You know they got morgues on cruise ships, right?
Yeah.
If you die, they just put you in the morgue until they, get to some area, some port. Yeah. I just found that interesting because a lot of old people go on cruises.
Yeah. And this is from R.J. Dack. I used to be a crew member, and one time a guy working at the front desk jumped overboard after a crew party. He was found a few hours later by the Coast Guard, and everybody was asked to be discreet in order to keep the cruise running smooth. Everything was fine until the captain came on the PA and said we were delayed because a crew member jumped overboard. There goes the discretion. Then the madness begins. Rumors appear out of nowhere, and the rest of the crew is pretty much guests asking what happened the whole time. A lot of shit happens on board. I could write a book, maybe even more than one. Another time a guy committed suicide in his cabin, and his family was on board, including a little girl. But this time it didn't leak to the guests. I saw the family as they were being escorted to the security office and felt so bad for them. A friend of mine got fired for getting wasted, got pissed and started pissing all over his cabin while the security guys were there to take care of him. He spent the night in the little jail on board before being dumped the next day in whatever port we were. They have jails on there too?
Yeah, probably.
Holy shit.
It's like a mini city, man.
It's a mini city on the ocean. They've got jails, they've got morgues. Man.
Torture chambers?
Yeah. Sex dungeons?
Yeah.
Probably.
You gotta pay
you got
extra
some
for
red
that.
rooms? I'd pay extra.
For a red room? Wow. Bro.
Also, every time we had ice cream at the crew restaurant, people would say it's because they had to empty the freezer to put a dead body. Yeah, okay. That's a little
That's
off kilter. But
gotta get rid of this ice cream.
I've never...
Like 10 bodies we gotta throw in there.
Free ice cream again today. How many fucking bodies you got in there?
People just keep dying.
Mine has hair in it.
That one guy yelled cannonball. Haven't seen him since.
But hey, here's some ice cream.
Here's some ice cream.
Enjoy. Oh, this reminds me, though, just because of our super silly, ridiculous banter. Did you see that comment on YouTube we got?
Did it say
too much... Oh, what is it?
Foolishness.
Too much foolishness. Yeah. So we got a comment from someone on YouTube that said, too much foolishness. But let me point out, he used too wrong.
I saw that. Yeah.
I was like, who's foolish now, sir?
It's like grammatically foolish is what you are.
He said T-O,
Piece
much,
of shit.
foolish. You're missing an O. It's T-O-O. I guess we just need to stop commenting. Just get straight to the point, 15-minute episodes, no side content.
Second-grade grammar, though, man.
Yeah.
Two, when it's either too much or also.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird how that works. I wonder if he does his there, and there, okay. Probably not. Too much foolishness. Well, don't listen. It's just like the one person, clowns. And you guys talk too much. It's like 3 people. Yeah, someone called us a bunch of women. It's like, what is that? It's 2
You're
dudes
part
and
of
we're
the
a
patriarchy,
bunch of women.
sir.
Yeah, seriously. Fucking. So to all of you out there who deal with the side banter, thank you.
Yeah.
And if not, then you don't have to listen.
That's what separates us from other horror shows, you know? Sometimes you can't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Back on a stormy road, these people saw, sometimes...
And you leave just feeling depressed and anxious.
Fucking laugh. All right, let's go back to the Queen Anne.
Let's do it. It's Queen Mary.
Oh, let's go back to the Queen Mary.
Queen Anne.
The RMS Queen Mary spent 3 decades transporting the rich and famous across the Atlantic before retiring in 1967. She survived the Great Depression and World War II and managed to avoid the tragic fate of her cousin Titanic. But under the glitz and the glamour, this haunted ship is hiding several dark secrets. So let's go to the glory days. It was a sunny day in 1936 when the Queen Mary departed from England on her maiden voyage. She offered all the finest amenities, exquisite dining rooms, swimming pools, daily radio broadcasts, a kennel for passengers' dogs, a children's nursery, even a hospital. And she was fast, boasting a top speed of 32 knots. She could travel to England and New York in 4 days.
God damn.
Her parent company, the recently merged Cunard White Star Line, was desperate for success.
Cunard, that's a little sketchy. Be
Cunt.
careful with that.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Cunard had gone broke during the Great Depression, and the White Star Line was still scarred by the Titanic and then the Britannic. Their fates rested on the Mary, and it seemed like their luck had finally turned. The RMS Queen Mary dominated the transatlantic travel, holding the blue ribbon from 1938 to 1952 and welcoming celebrities, politicians, even royalty. But the world was in turmoil.
The world is turmoil.
This is like World War II. That's some dark shit, man. All right? At the outbreak of World War II, the famed ocean liner became a military transport ship, hauling between 5,000 to 15,000 soldiers across the world. And that's when things took a dark turn. You can imagine how bad things get when you change a luxury cruise liner into a military ship.
Yeah.
So at least 47 people died aboard the Queen Mary during her time at sea. A young crew member named John Petter was crushed by a door during an emergency drill.
Have you seen Ghost Ship?
Yeah, but it's been 15 years.
Best opening to a horror film ever.
I recall it was pretty good when
Ever.
we started watching it.
If I see that it's playing, I will watch it just for the opening. I won't watch, I'll watch the whole thing. I like it. But the opening, fire.
It's after that I'll watch the Titanic. All right.
Oh, damn. Just the ending, though.
Another died after drinking gin that turned out to be cleaning fluid. We covered that at the start. The rest died of natural causes. That's what the official records report. But hundreds of others are said to have died or at the hands of the Queen Mary prior to her retirement. In 1939, the ship was drafted into the military service. Britain believed her size and speed would keep her safe from German U-boats, and they were right. It's rumored that Adolf Hitler offered $250,000 reward to any submarine captain who could successfully sink her.
Wow. But you got a personal hit from Hitler.
Yeah, right?
He's downstairs riding T-Rexes.
Yeah, in hell.
In hell.
But the Queen Mary's efficiency came at a cost. She was pushed to the limit, often cramming 15,000 soldiers into spaces designed for only 2,200 passengers. She was stripped of her fine decor and amenities in order to create more space. Her bright smokestacks were painted navy gray, and her portholes were blackened out and welded shut. The transformation earned her the nickname Gray Ghost.
Ooh.
In the summer, soldiers slept shoulder to shoulder above deck and took turns sleeping in bunks below the deck. The lack of airflow made the cabin suffocatingly hot.
Oh, no thanks.
Some soldiers died of heat exhaustion, others jumped ship. The Mary was no longer a luxurious cruise ship. It was hell. Legend says that staff went half crazy too. One rather gruesome rumor is that the galley crew locked the chef in his own oven one night, roasting him alive.
Jesus Christ.
Though there are no records of the chef's demise, there is a substantial evidence that the Mary was responsible for the deaths of over 300 men. In October of 1942, the famed ship accidentally collided with the HMS Caracal, a much smaller cruise that was escorting her around the Irish coast. The Caracal was zigzagging in front of the Mary, hoping to throw off any potential missile attacks, when the 82,000-ton ship mistakenly plowed into it, breaking it in half. Some of the crew died instantly. Others drowned or succumbed to hypothermia in the freezing water. The Mary never stopped to rescue them, as it would have compromised the thousands of soldiers on board, and an estimated 329 men died as a result. The truth of what happened was sealed until the war ended 3 years later. By then, the Queen Mary had undergone a 10-month renovation that erased any remnants of military life. Painting fine china and Art Deco furniture were returned to the cabins and dining rooms. She was ready to dazzle the rich, famous, and powerful once again.
Let's just pretend all that shit didn't happen. Let's just give her some new paint, some new decorations, and voila.
Oh, God damn it. We left a body in the wall. We got to get that out.
No, just seal it.
But all the expensive decor in the world couldn't bury what had happened during the war. The Queen Mary was a haunted ship. The ship is reportedly haunted by over 100 spirits. The most infamous being the spirit of stateroom B340, which we talked at the beginning of this story. Everyone seems to have their own story about who or what haunts the room. In 1948, a third-class passenger named Walter J. Adamson mysteriously died there. Is it his ghost that haunts the place, or was he killed by the ghost? One woman said that she was awoken when her bed covers were ripped off of her in the middle of the night. She then saw a man looming over the end of the bed. Others heard phantom voices and complained that the faucets turned on by themselves. The ship received so many negative reports that throughout the 1970s that the room that we talked about prior at the beginning of this episode, B340, was closed to the public for over 30 years.
Damn.
It was reopened as a haunted attraction in 2018. Through the key comes with a fierce warning.
So
That'd be a cool room to
can you
stay in.
rent it out
Yeah,
still?
no, it's $400 a night, bro. It's $400 a night. You want to go to Cali? Let's go.
Oh, it's in Cali, just like in Port or something.
Yeah,
I would.
Long Beach.
100%. I would do it.
I'd be down.
Take the Ouija board. Oh, you said it comes with one. We'll take the spirit box. Take the
We'll
ghost
take our own
rods,
Ouija board. Yeah.
and we'll record an
We'll
episode.
take
in there.
everything. Yeah.
All right.
Have it all.
Stay tuned. We're gonna take a trip to Cali at some point.
It'll be pretty good. Even the current captain is too scared to enter that room. Other haunted areas include the former first-class swimming pool, boiler room number 4, and the doorway where John Petter was tragically crushed during the emergency drill. Petter's ghost is often spotted wearing blue overalls. Sometimes he'll run behind people whistling as if warning them. Other times, he's kind of like a creep. Who did that? Who did that?
Mr. Petter?
God damn it, you womanizer.
Those blue overalls, though.
Other times, he'll ask guests if they've seen his wrench. When they turn back to him, he's gone.
Y'all see my wrench? Is that a euphemism?
My big wrench.
Y'all see my wrench?
The sheer amount of ghostly activity aboard the Queen Mary has earned it the title of the most haunted ship in the world, and it attracts as many paranormal fanatics as it does history buffs. Still, even in the light of day, there is something creepy about Mary. The ship is a relic of a bygone era.
There's something about Mary.
Something about her, man. By the 1960s, commercial flight had become the preferred method of transportation, and the thriving ocean liner industry had gone dry. The golden years of the transatlantic traveler were over. Despite her 1930s luxuries, the Queen Mary could not compete with modern cruise ships. Cunard eventually made the difficult decision to sell her to the city of Long Beach, where she could serve as a tourist attraction and hotel. With the exception of a few modern updates, the Mary still looks like she did in her heyday, grand and glamorous. It's known as the Ship of Woods, due to the impressive number of mixed woods used in its construction. As you walk up to its massive bulk hull, you might feel the same rush of excitement that coursed through passengers the day it was launched on the morning. But the haunted ship now holds as much evil as it could now. Marred by war, neither time nor renovation can bury the dark secrets of the RMS Queen Mary. So that's the Queen Mary. It's just,
Wow.
it has
Lots
a bunch of
death
evil
and
juju in it, man. A lot of evil juju. The next section I'll be talking about eyewitness accounts on the Queen Mary ship, referencing the stories that we talked about.
Hell
and
yeah.
Britton will jump into you talking about scary ships.
Oh, shit.
Big ships.
Oh, shit.
Sometimes ships you can't flush away because they're so scary.
Oh, shit moments. Okay, this comes from Rally Blue. I provide software and services for most of the major cruise lines and spend a lot of time cruising. On the new builds is when you see a lot of crazy stuff happening. When a brand new ship is built, they have to go through what's called sea trials. This is a full systems check for multiple reasons, biggest ones being safety, emissions, and engine and navigation testing. This happens without passengers, and a lot of stuff breaks usually. They will list the ship, lean it all the way to one side as hard as they can, and hold position while doing a circle or figure 8 pattern in the water. I had a roughly 600-pound wine cooler, fully stocked, face down about 12 inches away from me while installing a PC at a bar. Sounded like a stick of dynamite exploding from the pressure of all the bottles hitting and simultaneously breaking. That's a lot of alcohol.
That's a lot of waste.
600 pounds, dude.
Man.
I froze, staring at it, and as I started to come out of the initial shock, 4 security crew members came running around the corner. No one else around except me and about $10,000 in broken wine.
It's like The Shining, but sad. Instead of blood,
It's like it's a wine.
coming down the elevator. You're like,
Fuck.
man.
And the cooler wasn't cheap either. I just stuck my hands up in the air and slowly exited the scene. I'm pretty sure if I was standing 1 foot to the right, it wouldn't have been pretty for me. Can you imagine getting crushed by $10,000 of wine?
Yeah.
Found out the yard workers forgot to bolt it down, as per protocol. Oops. One story that comes to mind with passengers, travel agents, and family was the first sailing out of the yard. The ship can hold about 4,500 passengers. She's a big girl and has 5 or 6 massive engines to power it. About 3 hours into the sail away, I heard a loud thump and massive vibrations all around. I was in an empty restaurant and saw plates and cups crashing to the ground from the vibrations. My first thought is to always see how the crew reacts. If they are calm, you can stay calm. If they freak out, you better start moving. I could see some concern, but they continued on with their business, so I followed their lead and continued doing my work too. About 3 or 4 hours after that, another loud thump and even more vibrations. Then silence. After speaking with a few crew members, found out we lost 2 engines on the initial incident, and now we just lost the rest. Whatever the reason was, we lost complete propulsion, and this beast of a ship was going to go wherever the ocean wanted it to. Man, that's crazy. Passengers were notified that we'll be running late, but to continue having fun and drinks were on the house. No other info was given. Smart to avoid panic.
Up off the floor
with
some glass
with a
shards.
mop, and they're just wringing it out in people's glasses.
My throat's bleeding.
Yeah, here you go. Just drink around the glass. About 12 hours later, a helicopter was seen, early AM hours, above us, dropping down crates of engine parts, and a short time after that, we had propulsion again. Passengers had no idea why we were delayed and didn't seem to care. Free alcohol, though. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Ostiarius. There are small fires in places like the kitchens that happen somewhat regularly. Most of the time, they're controlled quickly. No one even knows they happened. People drop dead all the time, especially on some of the nicer lines that are basically floating retirement homes.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's when there's a survivable medical emergency that guests become aware of it, when they need to do an emergency evacuation either by tender boat or helicopter. One of the ships I worked on, a guest jumped off an open deck while we were at sea. He survived, though. I think he was super drunk more than he was suicidal. Norovirus outbreaks happen regularly. That's a literal oh shit moment for some people. Probably the worst accident that happened during my tenure was when a kid literally put his eye out on a ball valve handle on one of the open decks. Pretty sure word spread quickly on that one, though. Took his eye out on a ball valve?
I have no idea how that would work or what they are referencing.
It's like a little ball valve and just...
I'm going to look at this real quick with my eye.
Or he's running and fell on it?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. He's not like...
Have you seen the cruise ship video where there's just like blood coming out of the elevator?
What the fuck?
Yeah, I guess
Like
like
The Shining?
there was an elevator technician. He was like working on an elevator and something happened. Like I don't know
Just
what happened, but
him?
it crushed his body in like half. And there was just blood coming out of the elevator, like a floor down.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it ain't right. It ain't right.
No, not at all. All right, this is from 2 Tsunami. I worked on a cruise ship for 3 years. I've got a lot of these kinds of stories, but here's my favorite one. Our ship officers got a call from a ship of a completely different cruise line off the coast of Cozumel, Mexico. They found one of our passengers floating in the ocean. He wasn't even near the shore at all, just floating in open water. He was alive and perfectly fine. He's like, hey, what's up, guys?
Oh, what's up?
They reviewed the security footage, and in the middle of the night, this guy was drunk on deck 5 and could be seen holding his phone, dancing to music by himself. Then he climbed onto one of the lifeboats and did a running jump into the ocean. He left his phone on top of the lifeboat. His body was so fluid from being drunk that he wasn't injured when he hit the water.
That guy thinks he's the main character.
Yeah. The cruise ship spotted him and rescued him. His family didn't even know he was missing because he had booked a separate room. What a piece of shit.
It's that goddamn plot armor, Hollywood. God damn it.
Hell.
Goddamn plot armor.
This guy told me the news that a rogue wave pushed him off the side of the
I
ship.
bet, buddy.
He was on deck 5, so the wave would have been over 40 feet tall. Don't know what happened after that. The entire crew was talking about it for weeks before it hit the news, though. And the last one before I turn it back to the Queen Mary is I, the Wanderer. Someone died. That's the first sentence, right? My dad has been working on cruise ships for 30 plus years, and on one specific cruise we were on in 2008, a man who used to be a sailor all his life took his life. He wanted to die at sea, stopped taking his meds, had a small heart attack in the cafeteria, but was okay. Then that night he spent the whole night dancing with his family who he brought on a cruise, and he died the next morning. had to be kept in the freezers until the next stop in Greece, where his family got off and went back to Hungary. So you said there's a morgue. It sounds like it's just the freezers.
No, that sounded like a small Norwegian liner. If you get on a big cruise ship, like a big one, they have morgue. Straight up. He was like on some probably 100-person cruise ship.
All the other passengers were informed that he went home due to his health issue because it was a very public thing, but it was for his funeral.
There's no way they would just put him in a freezer. They'll just put him by the deep-fried ice cream.
He wants some ice cream. They still come back to the ship every year. Also, they lost the anchor once. I contacted my dad for the video and details, and we'll update soon.
We don't know why. His
Just
right
lost
hand
the
was
fucking
missing
anchor?
once we got him back.
Nice.
What? That'd just be weird.
Yeah.
Why is that missing? All right, so I am going to end with Reddit stories of eyewitness accounts of the Queen Mary and the apparitions. Ooh. This one is from Reddit, The Hamburglar. If anyone is unfamiliar with the Queen Mary, it's basically the Titanic, but was built in the 30s and obviously did not have the same fate as the Titanic. It eventually permanently docked in San Diego and was used as a hotel. Because of COVID, though, I think they permanently closed it down. Oh, I hope not.
What?
We'll have to look into that. It's a beautiful ship, and pretty much the closest thing to the Titanic. You should really check it out online, anyways. When I was 12 or 13, me, my grandma, and my cousin stayed on the Queen Mary for a night or two. The ship is apparently haunted because of how many people died on the ship during its prime days, mostly due to traveling passengers catching sickness and dying on board. I guess you forgot the war. All right.
You forgot about the war that took place?
We were told about ghost sightings and were recommended the ghost tour by the receptionist, but my grandma is religious and scoffs about anything like that. The night that we checked in, she and my cousin went to bed early while I explored the ship. It was pretty dead, and I was basically the only guest wandering around the ship. It was eerie, but it wasn't even that late in the night. Forgive me, I'm unfamiliar with the actual terms for each specific deck. I went outside the top deck and was just walking around for a bit, and then suddenly I felt someone was near me. I had this urge to get away from it, so I started walking in the other direction. For some reason, my instincts were telling me to run, so I did. After running to the other side of the ship, I turn around and see someone. It was a man. I assumed he was an employee, but after looking closer, he was wearing very old clothes, like clothes from that time period that the Queen Mary was an active running ship. He had a mustache and called me crazy, but he had a green aura to him, like he was glowing a subtle green. I know how crazy it sounds, but I swear this is what I saw. I then saw an actual employee on the ship and walked towards them, then went back to my room. I considered myself religious and never even entertained the thought of spirits or ghosts, but that night had me questioning everything. Maybe because my beliefs, he, the spirit/ghost, was naturally drawn to me. Maybe he wanted to be seen. I don't think it was a living employee because they wore modern-day uniforms, but he was wearing old clothes. Also, he was glowing. I don't know how else to explain it.
There was just some guy who found an old chest of clothes and had a bunch of glow sticks in his pocket.
So he had a McDouble, and you know what? I stole it. I stole that McDouble from him.
Stole it.
All right, this one is from Rita the Cat. When I was a kid, my mom would take my brother and me on the Queen Mary. One time we went into a roped-off area and explored. I thought I heard a scream, and my mom and brother both thought they heard a baby crying. Later, we bought a book from the gift shop about the Queen Mary, and one of the stories was about hearing the scream of a mom who found her dead baby in the hallway we were in. There were reports mentioning the book that some people could hear the baby crying, too. Realistically, I just think we let our imaginations get the best of us because we were in an area we were not supposed to be in. I've been there lots of times, but that was the only weird thing that happened to us there. This story is from Goth ICLG. I didn't stay, but did a tour of the ship. It was at the end of the tour where the little girl ghost, I don't remember her name, hangs out by the now drained pool. I felt a small child's hand grab 3 of my fingers and begin to pull me away from the pool. More towards the deck and the nearby bar. I should have noted that I can't swim, and had the pool been full still, I would have been nowhere near that room.
God damn.
All right, the last story is from Lady A052. Oh boy, mid-90s local radio personalities were getting married at the Queen Mary and put together a package, attending the wedding and staying overnight. We got on the ship, went to our room, and my glasses promptly fell apart, with the tiny screws disappearing in the carpet. It took about half an hour to find them and put my glasses back together. We then set out to join our pre-wedding festivities. We got in the elevator, and when it reached its destination, we stepped out. Somehow we were in the bowels of the ship, with employees scurrying everywhere, carrying supplies and food. The elevator wasn't even supposed to be able to go to that floor, go figure. We finally got out of there and found the right floor where the wedding was. It was a lot of fun, and I was right there with my brand new camera to get the best shots. We later went back to our room for the night, and the next cabin had filled with people for some other time zone, and they were laughing and whooping it up while we were ready to go to sleep. So what does my ex do? He pounds on the wall. Immediately, about 30 people are pounding... Sorry,
Jesus.
That's so funny. Immediately, about 30 people are pounding back from the other side. Great idea, dipshit.
Nice.
I looked at him and said, let's get the hell out of here. This is ridiculous.
Just starts pounding on all the walls. Hello!
We called the front desk and told them what was going on, and they said if we left before midnight, it was a little after 11, they wouldn't charge us for the room. We got all our stuff together while there was still a bunch of pounding coming from the next room. Oh,
Lord.
It would stop. Right before we left, we both pounded like crazy on the wall for about 30 seconds.
Jesus Christ.
When they started pounding back, we snuck out of the room without anybody seeing us. I hope they enjoyed it, knowing an empty room all night. To top it all off, I had a film. Can you imagine like they filled it with a random person?
Oh, God.
What the fuck's going on?
What is happening?
I had to film from my new camera developed, yay, the 90s, and when we got back, it was completely blank. They had told me the film had been exposed, but there was nothing there.
God damn.
That's pretty fucking, that's a funny story.
We need to visit. We need to go to the Queen Mary.
And then 30 people just start hitting
pounding.
They ain't doing that to us. Let's get them.
And then they just leave. So they're probably pounding the whole fucking night. That's the Queen Mary,
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Fun research. Thank you, Modelo Time.
All right. This is from Kichi Pie. A passenger went missing, and nobody could find him for a couple days. Turns out he committed suicide in the fan room, so everyone had been sucking dead guy air for a while.
Oh, my God.
Holy crap.
It's better than drinking dead girl water from the Cecil Hotel.
Oh, that's true. We definitely kept that one under wraps. That's the only one that the crew kept secret, but I have some crazy, funny stories about working on ships. I was a musician, and one time a guest Ent, which is a fly-on account who joins the ship for a cruise to perform one show, thought he was fucking Freddie Mercury and threw out his Digipack CDs like ninja stars into a completely dark house, and ended up clocking some old woman a half-inch below the eye, and she had to go to medical. Holy God. The husband wrote the cruise director a very threatening letter basically saying, my wife almost went blind, so I strongly suggest you give us a free steak dinner.
Yeah, that's what
It's the least you could do.
I'm not comfortable putting a price on that, sir.
It's the least you could
Can I do it twice and give you two?
Right? I would usually be hungover, so I'd drink during the day to get over it. I'd go out in port and get smashed and come back. On turnaround days where a new group of passengers arrive, we have to take attendance and do a life jacket demonstration. I was so drunk one time I threw up in the stairwell as passengers were coming in. I somehow didn't get fired or even reprimanded, even though everything I puked up was straight liquid and smelled caustically like booze. We all have small cabins in close proximity to each other. We usually keep a spare key under our nameplates in case we lock ourselves out by accident. One night I woke up to a fellow musician who didn't have a shirt on, pissing into my wastebasket in the corner.
Yeah, all right.
He was so drunk he thought my cabin was his, and then he got the key from behind the nameplate, just decided to piss into the closest hole.
I gotta tell the story. God damn it.
Uh-oh.
So when I first got married, we went to Windover for a bachelor thing. And I remember my buddy David got so trashed that he passed out in the elevator, and we got a call while we were gambling out on the floor. Like, dude, your friend's passed out in the elevator. You better get him. So we pick him up, take him back to the room. And apparently, one of my friends woke up at like 4 a.m. He got up and just pissed on the door thinking it was bad.
Jesus.
Those are the hotels you stay in, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, that's it.
Good God. All right, this comes from Rizzle Rock. We were on a family cruise, and after a wonderful dinner, we're trying to get back to our room. As we got to our floor and headed down the hallway, there was a new dead-end wall. It had appeared that separated us from our room. We were told we had to go the opposite way and go around another hall on the other side of the boat. As we walked, we noticed many new walls. Once we got to the other side, the floor was wet, and one of the new walls was leaking water from behind it. It took us 20 minutes to navigate the newly built-out labyrinth. We were so worried we were taking on water we could barely sleep that night. So the last one of the night is Death Powers. Finally, something I can comment on. Ooh. I work as a contractor on cruise ships and jump between ships all throughout the year. I've done 18 cruises in the last year, and being a contractor, I get a lot of interaction with guests and crew. The crew is trained in virtually every possible situation you can imagine and have required drills every week. There is quite a bit of death on board, and there's a morgue on most ships I work on. And there you go. A lot of suicides that nobody catches until someone reports them missing, and then you hear they jumped in the middle of the night. In fact, I've been on board when they had more deaths that they had room for, so they thought a surprise ice cream party for the crew so they could make room in a separate freezer.
Maybe
Lord,
they do
we were just
have
talking
that.
about that. Holy hell. But what actually was the craziest experience for me on board was when we lost satellite the night of the last election, and when everyone woke up, we got it back, and the results were just in. I've never seen a more divided ship amongst guests. Arguments, parties, fistfights. It was 8 a.m. where we were at the time, and it's definitely a weird way to start a day at sea. We also had a guest get stuck on a mountain in Alaska. We had to call in air support before we could leave to get them back. My favorite story to tell is when I was staying the Red Sea. We had armed security on board, and they just stood and watched the water in case of pirates. We had required lights out and curtains closed after 6 p.m. for our own protection, and it was always fun to see a tiny army ready to fight pirates at any given moment. Those dudes could drink. Imagine being worried about pirates while you're on your cruise ship.
Yarr.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our Queen Mary episode.
Fantastic.
Thank you again, Modelo Time, for your support and for the suggestions, and we'll definitely cover the rest of your suggestions as we go down the line. And again, for all of the listeners, entertheabysspod@gmail.com. Best place to get a hold of us for your personal stories, shout-outs, whatever you want. Cleet and I will dive to the abyss to get the information to cover, so send us some crazy stuff to talk about. And speaking of our subscribers, again, thank you very much for Modelo Time, Mothman, Devon C., Conklin family, and Lou for your continued support of the show. Really, really greatly appreciate it. As we said, we really want to get video going, do some traveling and stuff, visit some haunted locations, and take you all with us as we go on that journey. So any help we can get is absolutely amazing. Keep talking, get us out there. Really appreciate it.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps us get us out there. We're about 200 subs away from each platform, from Spotify and YouTube, to get 1,000 subs, which is pretty neat.
That's huge for us.
I know. It'll be a big moment. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.